Family trust shattered overnight. Mother-daughter bonds tested beyond limits. Hidden treasures. Secret betrayals. The inheritance that destroyed everything I believed about my child. I never thought my own flesh and blood would steal from me. But that's exactly what happened when my daughter took my emerald necklace without permission. The same necklace she'd always called that old-fashioned thing. The same necklace worth $5 million. My name is Claudine Ross. At 62 years old, I've seen enough heartbreak to fill several lifetimes. Born in Savannah, Georgia, I raised 2 children on my own after their father walked out when they were just babies. I worked double shifts at the hospital, saved every penny, and built a life that, while modest, gave us stability. My small brick house on the outskirts of Atlanta isn't fancy, but it's mine, paid in full with decades of hard work. If you're watching this story right now, I need you to hit subscribe and tell me where you're from in the comments. Because what I'm about to share might just save your relationship with someone you love. Trust me, you'll want to hear this till the end. Also download your ebook titled Suspense and Family Drama Short Stories by clicking the link in the pinned comment. My Aunt Loretta was the only real mother figure I had growing up. When she passed away 5 years ago, she left me just one thing, an emerald necklace with intricate gold setting that had been in our family for generations. The day she gave it to me, her hands trembling with age, she whispered something I'll never forget. "Keep it safe, Claudine. One day, you'll understand its true worth." I didn't realize then she wasn't just talking about emotional value. 3 weeks after the funeral, I had it appraised out of curiosity. The jeweler's eyes widened the moment he examined it. Colombian emerald. Rare craftsmanship. Historical significance. $5 million, he said, maybe more to the right collector. I nearly collapsed right there in his shop. Did I tell my children? No. I didn't want the money to change us. We'd always lived simply, and my daughter Tanya already showed worrying signs of entitlement. Always reaching for things beyond her grasp, always certain she deserved more. My son Devon was different, humble, hard-working, content with his teacher's salary and small apartment. So I kept the necklace in a hidden compartment in my bedroom closet, tucked inside a cedarwood box beneath old photo albums. To Tanya, it was just Mom's vintage costume jewelry. Nothing worth stealing. Until the Atlanta Women in Power Gala changed everything. "Mom, can I borrow that green necklace?" Tanya asked, her voice casual as she flipped through a magazine on my couch. It would look perfect with my black dress. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. That necklace stays here." She rolled her eyes like a teenager, not the 31-year-old professional she was. "Why are you so attached to that old thing? It's not like anyone else is going to wear it." If only she knew. 3 days later, I opened my jewelry box and felt my world collapse. The necklace was gone. And with it, a secret that would tear our family apart in ways I never imagined possible. You might think you know your children. I thought I did too. But the truth is, they grow up carrying parts of themselves even a mother's eyes can't see. Tanya was my firstborn. From the day she arrived, she commanded attention, wailing louder, demanding more, always reaching for what wasn't hers. Beautiful with her father's amber eyes and my high cheekbones, she grew into a woman who turned heads. She pursued a career in public relations because she loved the glamour, the connections, the feeling of being adjacent to power. Her apartment downtown cost 3 times what it should, her clothes always carried designer labels, and her ambitions stretched far beyond her means. "Mom, I need to borrow $500 for rent," she'd say, then show up in brand new shoes the next day. "It's an investment in my career," she'd explain. "I need to look successful to become successful." I'd bite my tongue, write the check, and watch it happen again next month. Devon was her opposite in almost every way. 2 years younger, quieter from birth, with gentle hands and a thoughtful gaze. He became an art teacher at a public high school on the south side of Atlanta. His apartment was small but filled with books, plants, and canvases, things that grew and nourished rather than things that sparkled and faded. "You spoil her," he told me once, his voice low as we washed dishes after a Sunday dinner Tanya had left early. "She'll never learn if you keep rescuing her." "She's finding her way," I defended, though doubt had begun to creep in years ago. "Some people take longer to grow up." "She's 31, Mom," he said, drying a plate with careful movements. "That's not a child." The pattern started small. Earrings borrowed and never returned, money borrowed and forgotten, promises made and broken. Each time, I'd confront her. Each time, she'd have an excuse that sounded just plausible enough. "I put them in your jewelry box, Mom. Maybe you forgot." I thought that was a gift, not a loan. "I've been so busy with work, I just forgot." Aunt Loretta had seen it too, during her final years. She'd watched Tanya from her armchair with narrowed eyes, saying nothing. But the day before she died, she called me to her bedside alone. "Claudine," she said, her voice paper-thin, "your girl has champagne taste and tap water means. Be careful what you entrust to her." The next day, she was gone. At the reading of her will, I received only the emerald necklace while my cousins received cash, stocks, property. I was hurt at first, until I had it appraised. Then I understood. Aunt Loretta had given me something Tanya couldn't easily take, something that would require my explicit permission to access. "What a weird thing to leave you," Tanya had said at the funeral, flicking the emerald pendant with her fingernail. "Looks like something from a museum gift shop." If she knew what hung around my neck that day was worth more than everything she'd ever owned combined, would it have changed anything? I'll never know. What I do know is that I made a choice then to protect it, not just from theft, but from becoming the object of obsession. My cousin Rita noticed me fidgeting with it during the reception. "You should put that in a safe deposit box," she whispered. "It'll be fine at home," I assured her. "Nobody would think this old thing is worth stealing." Rita gave me a strange look. "Loretta told me what it's worth. Just be careful." I installed a small safe in my closet floor that weekend, hidden beneath the carpet. For 5 years, that necklace stayed there, emerging only for occasional private viewings when I needed to remember that some things of great value don't announce themselves with flash and glitter. The first real test came when Tanya needed bail money after a DUI. Devon offered his savings, but I refused. "She needs to face consequences," I said firmly, surprising even myself. Tanya didn't speak to me for 3 months after that. When she finally returned, there was something different in her eyes when she looked at me, something calculating that sent a chill through me. I should have recognized it as the beginning of the end. The Atlanta Women in Power Gala happens every spring, bringing together the city's most influential female executives, entrepreneurs, and changemakers. Getting an invitation is nearly impossible unless you're already in those circles, or unless you work for someone who is. Tanya burst through my front door on a Wednesday afternoon, her heels clicking against my hardwood floors like exclamation points. Her entire body vibrated with excitement. "Mom, you will never believe what happened." She threw her designer purse on my kitchen counter and pulled out an ivory envelope with gold lettering. "Miranda Carmichael personally invited me to the Women in Power Gala." I set down my cup of tea, genuinely happy for her. "That's wonderful, honey. Isn't she the one you've been trying to work with?" "She owns the biggest PR firm in the Southeast. If I can impress her at this gala, she might offer me a senior position." Tanya paced my kitchen, her mind already racing ahead. "Everyone who's anyone will be there. I need to look perfect." I smiled, remembering her as a little girl playing dress-up in my closet. Some things never change. I'm sure you'll look beautiful in whatever you wear. She stopped suddenly, turning to me with that look, the one that always preceded asking for something. Actually, Mom, I was hoping you could help me with that. My guard went up automatically. Help how? I was thinking about that emerald necklace Aunt Loretta left you. It would be perfect with my black Valentino dress. She made it sound so casual, as if she were asking to borrow a scarf. I felt my body tense. Tanya, that's not something I lend out. Come on, Mom. You never wear it. What's the point of having nice things if they just sit in a box? Her voice took on that wheedling tone I'd heard 1,000 times. The point is that it matters to me, I said firmly. It's the last thing Aunt Loretta gave me. Tanya's expression darkened. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me. That necklace could be the conversation starter that gets me noticed. I'm sorry, but my answer is no. She threw her hands up. You always do this. You say you want me to succeed, but you won't help when it really matters. That's not fair, I said quietly. I've supported you in countless ways. Whatever. She snatched her purse from the counter. I'll figure it out myself. I always do. She left without a goodbye, the door slamming behind her. I sat there feeling that familiar mixture of guilt and frustration. Was I being unreasonable? No. Some boundaries needed to remain firm. The night of the gala, I sent her a text wishing her luck. No response. I tried not to let it bother me as I went about my evening routine, dinner, television, then preparing for bed. I opened my closet to get my robe and froze. The door to my safe was closed, but something felt wrong. I entered the code with trembling fingers. The safe swung open. The wooden jewelry box was there, exactly where I'd left it. But when I lifted the lid, the hidden compartment was empty. The necklace was gone. My heart pounded as I tore through the bedroom, searching every drawer, every hiding place. Maybe I'd moved it. Maybe I was losing my mind. But deep down I knew. My phone buzzed at 11:48 p.m. A text from my friend Gloria. Is that your Tanya in this photo? She looks stunning. Attached was an image from the Atlanta Women in Power Gala's social media. There stood my daughter in her black dress, champagne flute in hand, laughing with Miranda Carmichael. Around her neck, catching the light like a beacon, was Aunt Loretta's emerald necklace. I couldn't breathe. My fingers shook so badly I could barely type, "Call me. Now." No response. I called her phone. Straight to voicemail. I sent another text, "I know you took it. Bring it back tonight." The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, calm down, Mom. It's just for tonight. I'll bring it back tomorrow. Go to sleep. Sleep? While $5 million hung around my daughter's neck at a party full of strangers. While my own child had violated my home, my trust, my explicit wishes. I sat on the edge of my bed, a terrible realization washing over me. This wasn't the first time she'd taken something against my wishes. It was just the first time she'd taken something I couldn't bear to lose. The question now haunting me wasn't just whether I'd get the necklace back, but whether I ever really knew my daughter at all. Morning came after a sleepless night. I'd called Tanya 17 times. 17 times, she'd sent me to voicemail. By 10 a.m., my worry had hardened into cold anger. I was about to drive to her apartment when my doorbell rang. There stood Tanya, still wearing last night's makeup, her eyes bloodshot. No necklace in sight. Where is it? I demanded before she could speak. She pushed past me into the house. Mom, something terrible happened. The only terrible thing that happened is you stole from me. It wasn't stealing. I was borrowing it. Her voice cracked. But now, Now it's gone. I felt the floor shift beneath me. What do you mean, gone? She collapsed onto my couch, suddenly a little girl again despite her evening gown and smeared mascara. After the gala, I put it in my clutch. When I got to my car in the parking garage, someone had broken the window. They took my bag with everything in it, my phone, wallet, the necklace. I studied her face, searching for signs of deception. Did you call the police? I'm using my backup phone. I filed a report this morning, but they said chances of recovery are slim. She looked up at me. I'm sorry, Mom. I know it meant a lot to you sentimentally. Sentimentally. The word hung between us like a challenge. Tanya, I said slowly, sitting beside her. That necklace wasn't just costume jewelry. She frowned. What do you mean? It was real. All of it. The emerald, the gold setting, the craftsmanship. Okay, so it's worth what, a few $1,000s? Her expression was still puzzled. I took a deep breath. Try 5 million. She laughed, actually laughed, until she saw my face. You're not serious. I had it appraised after Aunt Loretta died. It's a rare Colombian emerald from the 1800s. Museum quality. That's why I kept it locked up. The color drained from her face. $5 million? Yes. And you took it without permission and lost it. She jumped up. I didn't lose it. It was stolen. This isn't my fault. You never should have had it in the first place. I told you no. Why didn't you tell me it was worth that much? She shouted. Would it have mattered? You took it anyway. She paced my living room, pulling at her hair. Oh God. Oh God. What are we going to do? We're going to call the police again, I said, reaching for my phone. And you're going to tell them exactly what happened, the truth this time. Officer Thomas Garcia arrived 40 minutes later. Mid-50s with salt and pepper hair and eyes that had seen it all, he sat at my kitchen table with his notepad while Tanya recounted her story. So you're saying someone broke into your car at the Westview parking structure around 1 a.m., and the only thing missing was your clutch containing this necklace? His pen hovered over the paper. And my phone and wallet, Tanya added quickly. Were there any witnesses? Not that I know of. Security cameras? I don't think so. It was the back corner of level 3. He made another note. Ms. Ross, you said in your initial report this morning that the necklace was costume jewelry worth maybe $200. Tanya glanced at me nervously. I didn't know its real value then. Officer Garcia's eyes narrowed slightly. And now you're saying it's worth $5 million? Yes, I confirmed. I have the appraisal paperwork. He looked between us, skepticism written across his face. And despite its extraordinary value, there was no special security for it? No insurance. My stomach dropped. The necklace was insured, but only if it was stolen from my home, not while being borrowed by my daughter. I didn't think. I began. I see, Officer Garcia said, closing his notebook. We'll investigate, but I should warn you, this type of case rarely ends in recovery. Especially if the thief knew what they had. After he left, Tanya collapsed again. This is a nightmare. $5 million, gone. I watched her closely. The shock seemed genuine, but something didn't sit right. The timing. The convenient location without cameras. The fact that nothing else was stolen from her car. Tanya, I asked carefully, do you know anyone who might have known about the necklace? Anyone you might have told where you got it? She hesitated just a fraction too long. No. Why would I? But in that slight pause, a terrible suspicion took root in my mind. My phone rang, The insurance company returning my call. The agent's first question knocked the wind from me. Mrs. Ross, we're showing that your daughter attempted to get a separate appraisal on this item the day before it was reported stolen. Can you explain why? The insurance agent's words hung in the air between us. Tanya's face drained of color. Mrs. Ross? Are you still there? The voice on the phone persisted. Yes, I managed to say. I wasn't aware of any appraisal. There must be some mistake. We have records from Blanchard Jewelers and Franklin Appraisers. Your daughter brought in an emerald and gold necklace matching your description yesterday afternoon. She claimed it was a family heirloom she'd inherited. I kept my eyes locked on Tanya as I spoke. I'll call you back. When I hung up, the silence in my kitchen felt suffocating. Tanya stared at the floor, her body rigid. You had it appraised? My voice was barely above a whisper. I just wanted to know if it was real, she mumbled. Don't lie to me anymore, Tanya. What were you planning to do with that information? Her head snapped up. Nothing. I was curious, that's all. Curious enough to tell them you owned it? That it was your inheritance. I knew they wouldn't appraise it otherwise. She ran her hands through her tangled hair. Look, I didn't believe it was worth anything. I thought you were just being sentimental. So you took it anyway, against my explicit wishes. For one night. I was going to bring it back. Were you? Really? The doubt in my voice was unmistakable. Her expression hardened. You've never trusted me. Not really. Trust is earned, Tanya. And right now, yours is in the negative. The insurance investigation began that afternoon. A man named Keith Russell arrived at my home, his briefcase filled with forms and his eyes missing nothing. He photographed my safe, the jewelry box, asked about security systems. Then came the questions that cut to the bone. Mrs. Ross, who had access to your home? Just my children. They both have keys. And who knew about the necklace's value? I hesitated. Just me. And my cousin Rita. Not your daughter? No. Not until today. He made a note, his pen scratching against paper. And yet she took it to 2 different appraisers yesterday, before allegedly wearing it to an event where it was photographed. Then reported it stolen from her car in a section of a parking garage without cameras. When he said it like that, it sounded exactly like what it was, a planned theft. Ms. Ross, he turned to Tanya, can you provide the contact information for anyone who saw you at the event wearing the necklace? Anyone who might have noticed when you still had it in your possession. Tanya named several people, including Miranda Carmichael. As the investigator continued his methodical questioning, I watched my daughter's carefully constructed story begin to crumble. Your first appraisal attempt was at 2:15 p.m. yesterday, he noted. The jeweler refused because you couldn't provide proof of ownership. At 3:40, you tried again at Franklin's, who flagged the inquiry due to the unusual nature of the piece. The gala began at 8 p.m. You reported the theft at 9:35 this morning. That's quite a timeline. Tanya's leg bounced nervously under the table. What are you implying? I'm not implying anything. I'm gathering facts. His tone remained neutral, but the message was clear. When he finally left, promising to be in touch, Tanya broke down. They think I staged this. They think I stole my own mother's necklace. Did you? The question had been building inside me for hours. No. How could you even ask me that? Tears streamed down her face. Because nothing about this makes sense, Tanya. Why try to get it appraised if you were just borrowing it for one night? Why park in a corner without cameras? Why wait until morning to report the theft? She paced my living room like a caged animal. I was curious about the appraisal, okay? I admit that was wrong. But I didn't steal it. Devon arrived that evening, his presence a steady anchor in the storm. While Tonya showered, he sat with me on the porch, speaking low. "The police called me," he said. "They found something." My heart jumped. The necklace. No. Security footage from Tonya's apartment complex. She came home at 2 a.m. after the gala. She wasn't alone. Who was with her? Devon's face darkened. Derek Baldwin. The name hit me like a physical blow. Derek. Tonya's ex-boyfriend. The man who'd emptied her bank account last year before disappearing. The one she swore she'd never speak to again. "That's not possible," I whispered. "The footage is clear, Mom. He went into her apartment with her. Left an hour later with a small bag." I felt sick. She's still lying. Devon squeezed my hand. "There's more. They traced her phone, not stolen after all. It pinged early this morning in Birmingham, Alabama." As if on cue, Tonya emerged from the bathroom, her hair wrapped in a towel. She froze when she saw our faces. "What?" she asked, her voice small. "They know about Derek," I said simply. For a moment, just a flicker, something calculating passed behind her eyes. Then she collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. "I can explain," she choked out. "It's not what you think." But as she looked up at us, a text alert sounded on Devon's phone. He glanced at it, then turned the screen toward me. "Mom," he said quietly. "They found the necklace." The Birmingham Police Department was a 4-hour drive from Atlanta. Detective Torres met us in a sterile conference room, a sealed evidence bag on the table between us. Inside lay Aunt Loretta's necklace, the emerald glinting under the fluorescent lights. "We recovered this from Golden Opportunity Pawn, just off Highway 20, she explained. "The owner became suspicious when a man tried to sell it for $50,000. Far below market value, but far above what pawn shops typically handle. He stalled the seller and called us." I fought back tears seeing the necklace. Thank God. The seller's name was Derek Baldwin. She slid a photo across the table, a security camera image of Derek at the pawn counter. He claimed he inherited it from his grandmother. Tonya sat beside me, eyes downcast, shoulders hunched. She hadn't spoken a word during the drive. "We've detained Mr. Baldwin," Detective Torres continued. "But his story is interesting." She paused, studying Tonya. "He claims your daughter gave him the necklace to sell. Says they had an arrangement." I turned to Tonya. "Is that true?" Her silence was answer enough. Detective Torres opened a file. Mr. Baldwin provided text messages between them dating back 2 weeks. They discussed the necklace, its value, and a plan to borrow it for an appraisal. "I never planned to steal it," Tonya finally spoke, her voice hollow. "Not at first." The confession poured out of her then, each word another knife in my heart. How she'd reconnected with Derek a month ago. How he'd convinced her they could make a fresh start together if they had enough money. How she remembered my old necklace, and thought perhaps it might be worth a few $1,000s. "I just wanted to know what it was worth," she insisted. "That's why I took it for an appraisal before the gala. But when they said it might be valuable, I got scared and left." "And then?" Detective Torres prompted. "I still took it to the gala. I figured one night wouldn't hurt. But I told Derek what the jeweler said, that it might be special. After the gala, he convinced me to let him take it to a specialist he knew." "A pawn shop owner," I said bitterly. Tears streamed down her face. "He was supposed to just get an estimate. When he called saying it was worth millions, we both freaked out. I told him to bring it back immediately." Detective Torres raised an eyebrow. That contradicts Mr. Baldwin's statement. He says you told him to sell it for whatever he could get quickly. He's lying. I wanted it back. The text messages suggest otherwise, Ms. Ross. She slid another document across the table, printed text conversations. One message from Tanya's number stood out. Just get rid of it. I'll tell them it was stolen. We can meet in Mexico next week. Tanya's face crumpled. He must have sent that from my phone. I would never say that. Your phone, which you reported stolen but was found in Mr. Baldwin's hotel room, the detective said flatly, along with a receipt for 2 one-way tickets to Cancun. The room seemed to tilt beneath me. My daughter, my child, had not just stolen from me. She'd planned to run away with the proceeds, abandoning her life, her family, everything. I'm sorry, Tanya whispered, not meeting my eyes. It just happened so fast. Derek said we could have a whole new life. No more struggling, no more begging for scraps. Scraps. My voice broke. Is that what you think I've given you? Scraps. She had no answer. The detective cleared her throat. Mrs. Ross, we'll need a formal statement from you. And verification of ownership for the necklace. As for your daughter. Am I under arrest? Tanya asked, finally looking up. That depends on whether your mother wishes to press charges for the theft. All eyes turned to me. My own daughter. My flesh and blood. The baby I'd held through fevers and nightmares. The child I'd sacrificed everything for. Can I have a moment alone with my daughter? I asked quietly. When the detective left, I turned to Tanya. Why? Just tell me why. I needed a way out, she whispered. My credit cards are maxed. I'm 3 months behind on rent. The PR firm is downsizing, and I'm on the cut list. Derek promised we could start over. The same Derek who stole your savings last year? She winced. He explained that. He was in trouble with some people. He paid me back. With what money? Silence. You lied to the police, I said. You lied to the insurance company. You lied to me. Over and over. Mom, please. Her eyes were desperate. Don't do this. Don't press charges. I'll make it right, I swear. I studied her face, searching for the daughter I thought I knew. That's the problem, Tanya. I don't think you can. Not until you face the consequences of what you've done. Her expression changed then, hardened into something I'd never seen before. So that's it? You're throwing me to the wolves? Your own daughter? No, I said, standing up. I'm finally being the mother you needed all along. The one who holds you accountable. As I called Detective Torres back in, Tanya's last words to me were barely audible. You'll regret this, she hissed. You have no idea what you've just done. The legal machinery moved with cold efficiency once set in motion. The insurance company denied my claim, citing fraudulent representation and criminal conspiracy, since Tanya had removed the necklace with the intent to convert it to cash. The only silver lining was the necklace's recovery. I would get it back once it was no longer needed as evidence. Tanya was charged with grand theft, insurance fraud, and filing a false police report. Derek faced additional charges for attempting to sell stolen property across state lines. His prior record meant he was looking at significant prison time. I sat in the back row of the courtroom during Tanya's arraignment, my heart breaking as she entered in handcuffs. She didn't look for me in the gallery. Her attorney, paid for by Devon and me despite her protests, arranged for bail with strict conditions, surrender of her passport, weekly check-ins, and a monitoring ankle bracelet. Outside the courthouse, reporters clustered like vultures. The story had everything: family betrayal, hidden wealth, a failed escape. Socialite daughter steals mother's $5 million necklace, blared one headline. Tanya's employer fired her immediately. Devon picked me up after the hearing, his face grim. "How are you holding up?" he asked as we pulled away from the courthouse. "I keep thinking I'll wake up from this nightmare," I admitted. "You did the right thing, Mom." "Did I? My own daughter is facing prison." Devon's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "You know what Aunt Loretta would say?" Despite everything, I smiled faintly. She'd say, "Hard lessons make strong people." "Exactly." He glanced at me. "Tanya has been running from consequences her whole life. You've been helping her run." The truth in his words stung. I thought I was protecting her. From what? Reality? Responsibility? He sighed. "Mom, real love is wanting someone to be their best self, not just their happiest self." That night, I couldn't sleep. My phone rang at 2 a.m., Tanya's number. I answered immediately. "Mom." Her voice was small, broken. "I need help." My heart leapt. "What's wrong?" "My landlord found out about the arrest. He's evicting me. I have nowhere to go." The old instinct rose up. Rescue her, fix it, make the pain stop. But Devon's words echoed in my mind. "What are you thinking of doing?" I thought, maybe I could stay with you, just until the trial. I closed my eyes, gathering strength. "No, Tanya. That's not a good idea." Her breath caught. "You're turning me away? Now." "I'm not turning you away. I'm giving you the chance to solve this yourself. You're resourceful, intelligent. You'll figure it out." "Is this punishment? Are you enjoying watching me suffer?" The accusation cut deep. "This isn't about punishment. It's about growth. You've spent your life depending on others to rescue you when things get hard. That stops now." "I might go to prison, Mom." Her voice cracked. "Yes, you might. That's what happens when we make choices like the ones you've made." The line went silent for so long I thought she'd hung up. Finally, she spoke again. "Devon will help me if you won't." "Actually," I said gently, "Devon agrees with me. We both love you too much to shield you from this." After she hung up, I sat in my dark kitchen until dawn, questioning everything I thought I knew about motherhood. Had I really done right by my children? Or had my love for Tanya been a kind of weakness, a need to be needed that ultimately enabled her worst impulses? Her attorney called the next day. Prosecutors were offering a plea deal: 6 months in county jail, 5 years probation, and full restitution for investigation costs. If she refused and went to trial, she faced up to 7 years in state prison. "What should I do?" she asked when I visited her tiny studio apartment, half her belongings already in boxes. "That's your decision," I said firmly. "But what would you do?" I chose my words carefully. I'd take responsibility for my actions. I'd face the consequences with dignity. And I'd use the experience to become someone better. She nodded slowly, tears falling. "I'm scared." For the first time in weeks, I reached for her hand. Being scared doesn't mean you're weak. It means you understand what's at stake. "Will you be there when I go in?" "Every step of the way," I promised. "But I won't carry you. You need to walk this path yourself." As I drove home that night, I felt something shift inside me, a burden lifting. For the first time since this ordeal began, I believed that maybe, just maybe, something good might come from all this pain. But I had no idea how long and difficult that road would be. 2 years can change everything or nothing at all. It depends on what you do with the time. Tanya served 4 months in county jail before being released on probation. Those months aged her in ways I could never have anticipated. The perfectly manicured nails disappeared. The designer clothes gave way to prison uniforms, then to simple, practical items bought at discount stores. The carefully crafted social media presence that had occupied so much of her energy vanished completely. "No one wants to follow an ex-con's Instagram," she told me during our first post-release coffee meeting, her attempt at humor not quite masking the pain. The transformation wasn't instantaneous or easy. There were setbacks, moments of resentment, flashes of the old entitlement. But there were also breakthroughs. She found a job at a local florist shop, arranging bouquets with the same eye for beauty she'd once applied to PR events. The owner, a no-nonsense woman named Gladys, became an unexpected mentor. "She doesn't care about my past," Tanya explained. "She only cares if I show up on time and do good work." Devon surprised us both by inviting Tanya to help with an art therapy program at his school. Twice a week, she worked with troubled teens, sharing her story as a cautionary tale. "They actually listen to me," she said with wonder. "Because I'm not preaching from some perfect life. I've messed up badly, and I'm still here." As for the necklace, it now resides in a bank vault downtown. Once a year, on Aunt Loretta's birthday, I visit it. Not out of attachment to its monetary value, but as a reminder of the wisdom my aunt tried to impart, about worth that doesn't announce itself, about protection from one's own worst impulses. Today marks the 2nd anniversary of Tanya's release. We're having dinner at my house. Tanya, Devon, and me. It's not perfect. The trust between us is still fragile, being rebuilt one honest conversation at a time. But it's real in a way our relationship never was before. "I've been thinking about what Aunt Loretta told you," Tanya says as we clear the dishes. "About understanding the necklace's true worth someday." I glance at her, surprised. "What about it?" "I think I finally get it." She rinses a plate, passes it to me to dry. "It wasn't about the money. It was about what protects us versus what destroys us." Her words catch me off guard with their insight. "How so?" "You kept that necklace safe because you understood its power, both good and bad. You knew what it could do to a person who wasn't ready for it." She meets my eyes. "I wasn't ready. And now?" I ask softly. She smiles, a real smile that reaches her eyes. "Now I know some treasures aren't meant to be spent. They're meant to remind us of who we are and what matters." Later, as Devon and Tanya laugh over old photos in the living room, I step onto the porch for a moment alone. The evening air is sweet with jasmine, and stars dot the Atlanta sky. If you've stuck with this story until now, you might be wondering what happened to Derek. He received 3 years in state prison for his role in the conspiracy. Tanya hasn't contacted him since the trial, her infatuation finally broken by the harsh light of reality. More importantly, if you have someone in your life who makes you question your own judgment, someone whose patterns of behavior keep causing pain despite your best efforts to help, remember this: true love means wanting the best for someone, even when it's difficult. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is step back and let natural consequences become life's teacher. Trust is indeed a precious inheritance, easier to give than to rebuild. But with patience, honesty, and firm boundaries, even broken trust can be restored. Different, perhaps. Wiser, certainly. But also stronger for having been tested and found resilient. Lastly, download your ebook titled Suspense and Family Drama Short Stories by clicking the link in the pinned comment.